3 years ago, I did everything right. Attempted CFA, did my internship into core finance, got good scores in my colleges, and still I got 17 rejections in 1 week while applying to investment banking roles. When I started my internship journey, I got into equity research, and this is where I got interested towards investment banking because everyone in equity research was talking about IPOs, financial markets, mergers and acquisition, and I got to know that investment bankers are the ones working behind these things, and that generated my curiosity for it. Not having idea how to get into investment banking, I started asking people how do I get into it, and most of them said do CFA, it's going to be a golden ticket. So that's where I took my CFA level 1 attempt, cleared it, also attempted level 2 but unfortunately could not go through it, and then I started applying for investment banking roles but got rejected everywhere because I was applying to the target companies which were not going to accept my profile, and I faced 17 rejections in 1 week. So that's when I realized I was doing everything people told me, but I still didn't understand how to actually enter into investment banking. So then I started speaking to people on LinkedIn. Now this time I was not talking to people who entered JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley which had like fancy degrees on their profile. But my target was audience, people who were in boutique investment banks working in a team of 15-20 people who did not have these fancy degrees on their profile and who actually entered into investment banking with hard work and efforts. And that is where I understood a simple 3-step process that these investment bankers were using to get their step into the industry, and that's where I completely changed my approach towards getting into investment banking. I applied the same 3 steps, got an investment banking interview, and the interviewer did not even ask for my CFA or my degree. We were just talking about my skills and the work that I had done. So in this video, we are going to cover the entire 3-step approach that you can take to step your foot into investment banking and make your career into this lucrative world of finance. So to break into investment banking, you don't need any MBA or CFA. You need to follow a system. So the 3 steps include number 1, building strong foundation, number 2, upskilling, and number 3, becoming job ready. And in this video, we are going to walk through this 3-step framework in detail. So hello there, my name is Karan Damania. I am an ex-investment banker turned founder, and through Encoding Careers, we help you break into investment banking the right way. So let's start with step number 1 of this 3-step framework, which is building foundation. Now in building foundation, we have to understand about investment banking landscape, and most candidates don't understand what actually investment bankers do, what types of deals they work upon, what are roles and responsibility that an investment banker has to do when they get into the industry. Now I can totally understand this information is not available online easily because investment banking is a very tight-knit industry. People are very caught up in the work that they do, and no one has time to share the information out there to people like you who are watching this video. Now this kind of information comes through conversation with investment bankers, right? So I personally had, as I mentioned in the start, that I personally had lot of discussion with investment bankers before I got into it, because when you go for investment banking interviews, interviewer is going to test you whether we put you tomorrow to work and you will be able to perform or not. And if you prove them that you understand these roles and responsibility and what is going to be needed from you, they will definitely hire you, right? So understanding about roles and responsibility and also knowing your career path. When you go for interviews, they might ask you a question, where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years down the line? And if you don't have an answer specific to investment banking career growth, then you might not get selected for it. So understanding how the career path can grow is also very important. So these are the aspects of building a strong foundation. Giving you some relevant story over here. So there was one candidate who got into mid-market investment bank through MBA placements, but once she joined into that investment bank, she could not perform because her understanding about the roles and responsibility was not that clear, right? She was not able to understand what was exactly needed from her to work upon these kind of deals. Now after 4 months, she was moved to back office where she had to work on the legal work, documentation and coordination, which is not what investment bankers are made for. Then she later connected with us, our team, and wanted to understand how can she navigate from back office or middle office to the front end office roles. And that's where we mentioned that understanding about the foundation and having knowledge about roles, responsibility and the career path is very important if you want to enter into this industry. And within 3 months of her preparation on the front end side skills, she moved into core investment banking work, and now she works over there. So that's just a backstory to understand the importance of building strong foundation, which most of the people don't work upon when they want to enter into investment banking. Now, step 2, upskilling means building practical skill set that are necessary for sustaining into investment banking and performing on the job. Now, when we talk about upskilling, most people think that it is just working upon a financial model and doing 3 financial statement valuation for a company, but that's just one part of upskilling, right? Investment banking is not just about financial modeling and valuation. When we talk about upskilling, let's divide it into 2 parts. Number 1 is working upon soft skills. Number 2 is working upon your hard skills. Now, when we talk about soft skills, it includes skills like communication, your ability to communicate about the things that you have worked upon. Now, let's take for an example financial model only that most of the people love to work upon, right? So when you are working upon a financial model in your investment bank, you will be needed to communicate this financial model to your seniors, to your clients who would not be necessarily from a finance domain. Suppose your client is from pharma industry, you need to communicate this financial model to them and help them understand how you have created this projections, how did you come to a valuation, and that is a challenge which you will face in investment banking. That comes under soft skills. Next skill could be interpersonal skills, where you have to present yourself in front of these high stake people. Like, so you are talking to CEOs, CFOs, co-founders, founders of big companies, startups. So here you need to have that personality where you can showcase that these guys can trust you. You cannot present yourself in a dull way in front of these kind of high stake roles. So that's where interpersonal skills of how to communicate yourself, how to communicate with these high stake roles, how to present, how to groom, that all skills are very important in soft skills. Number 2, interpersonal skills. And number 3 skill for soft skill could be organizational skills. Here in investment banking, you are going to work upon multiple deals at a point of time, right? So staying organized in this high stake environment becomes very, very important, because here you are not just working upon one financial model or one client which is done and then you move on to next. You are juggling between multiple deadlines, multiple tasks, multiple clients, right? So one client needs their financial model, second client would need a pitch deck, third client has investor roadshows going on, fourth client has term sheets to be discussed. So all of these tasks have to be managed well, and if you are not organized in this particular environment, then it becomes very challenging. It would be very, very stressful for you to manage these tasks. So make sure that if you are preparing for investment banking, you work upon these basic soft skills that we have just mentioned. Now, when we talk about hard skills, there are a lot of technical skills that you need to build rather than just financial modeling. So if we give a list of all of the hard skills, number 1 could be financial modeling. Definitely, it's a very important element, right? You need to know how to project 3 financial statements, profit and loss statement, balance sheet, cash flow, how to create an entire revenue projection for your clients, for private companies as well as listed companies, how to derive it valuation using different valuation techniques is skill number 2. Skill number 3 could be building pitch decks. So here you need to have good presentation skills, how to concise data into a format that is good to look at and easy to understand. Next skill would be industry research, and this becomes very important because in investment banking you are going to work with different industry people and you need to read and keep yourself up to date on what's happening in that particular industry. So these are the set of skills that we need to work upon to prove ourselves that we are ready for investment banking. Now we come to step number 3, job readiness, and here you are getting ready for interviews and application strategy. Now, after talking to hundreds of students, professionals who want to get into investment banking, this is where most people fail. Even after upskilling themselves, knowing about investment banking, they don't work upon step number 3, and then they rant about they're not getting interviews or not getting shortlisting for a job. If you are not working on step number 3, then you will not get interviews, and then all the skills and the learnings that you have done about investment banking is going to be. Now, when we talk about getting job ready, we have divided this into 2 parts once again. Now, part 1 of this entire step 3 is resume and interview prep. Now, resumes are very, very, very important for investment banking because they walk into the interviewer's room before you do, and it should convey that you are fit for these roles that employers are looking out for. Your resume must follow investment banking standards. That is, it should have quantified bullet points. Every bullet point should be in one liner. It should have a very clean structure, right? So the alignment, the font size that you are using, the titles that you are giving to your sections, questions, the consistency of spacing between the resume, the sections that you are using in your resume. So all of these things have to be given a very peculiar thought. If you work on the things that we have just mentioned, then you will be ahead by 80%, because most of the people are not doing this. Now that was resume preparation. Next we have interview preparation, where you need to prepare for questions related to technical, behavioral, cultural and deal based. Investment banking interviews happen in two steps, right? So in step number 1, you are going to get a call from someone like a senior associate, AVP, who's just testing your understanding about investment banking. So when we talk about foundation, they will have some questions related to it, like what do you understand about IB, what do you think roles and responsibility, how does a mergers acquisition work, IPO process. So these kind of questions would be asked by the AVP or senior associate. Now if you clear that particular round, then you go on to round number 2, which will once again be led by someone senior than those positions, like a VP or director, where they will be rigoring you on your technical understanding, your behavioral qualities like your leadership, teamwork, efforts, right? So all of those type of questions would be there, and then they will see if you are fit for their culture. So that's on the round number 2. And to work upon these 2 rounds, work upon technical, behavioral, cultural and deal based questions, and you would be good to go. So that was part number 1, resume and interview prep. Now when we move to part number 2 of step 3, it is application and networking strategy. Now when we talk about investment banking, most would have images of JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Morgan Stanley in their mind. People think that there are only 50 to 100 investment banking firms in India where they can apply for roles. But as per Traction, which is India's one of the best and biggest database of private companies and listed companies, India has more than 1000 investment banks, which are across different types like boutique investment bank, mid-market, bulge bracket. But the problem is that everyone is applying to the top 50 or 100. These are the only investment banks that they are seeing on the internet. So here it's totally fair, because no one has access to these 1000 investment banks on internet easily. But the reality is the entry into investment banking is going to be very easy through this boutique investment banking route, rather than going to this top investment bank where they only hire people with experience or someone with pedigree. You need to start building your network across LinkedIn with people who are already working in this boutique investment bank. Now what happens on LinkedIn, once you start connecting with people who are working in this boutique investment bank, your network will open widely to more such people like that, and you need to start connecting with them. Speak to these professionals, what do they do for their work, what are their roles and responsibility. Seek out mentorship from them rather than seeking out job. Now after you have built that relation, share your project work with them, showcase that you are a good fit for investment banking, once again not asking for a job from them. Now once they know that you are a person who is genuinely interested, you have the right skills, then share your resume asking for feedback upon it, implement those feedback. Now once you have done this, you have taken the person's time, they trust you, you trust them, and now you can ask for referrals from them. And that is how your entire application and networking strategy should be, rather than applying for the top investment bank. So if your application strategy is weak, you won't even get the opportunity to prove yourself, right? Which you can easily do through the networking strategy that we just shared, where you are reaching out to people, you are having normal candid conversations rather than seeking out job directly. So that is how you can follow the networking and application strategy, and that completes the step number 3, where you have build your foundation, you have upskilled yourself, you worked on your resume and interview prep, and now you are building your network so that you could get job opportunities. So the entire journey comes down to these 3 steps: foundation, upskilling, job readiness, and you are good to go for getting into the industry. Now I know following this entire process on your own can be a bit difficult, right? You don't know where you lack right now, where you need to improve. So that's why we have created an investment banking assessment test, which helps you understand where you stand right now, right? Do you have good foundations? Do you have right skills? Are you job ready? So you will understand after going through this assessment what are you missing, right? And then you can focus on it for some time and then get yourself into investment banking. It will give you an entire roadmap for your preparation. What are the things that you need to learn in foundation? What are the things you need to do in soft skills, on hard skills, and finally to become job ready. Now you can access this entire assessment from link in the description. It's free of cost, so make sure that you go through it and get your roadmap for investment banking. And alongside that, if you want a personal review on your resume or your entire roadmap, you can book a free one-on-one call with me and our team, and we'll guide you exactly on what are the next steps that you need to take to get yourself into investment banking. So if you follow these 3 steps, breaking into investment banking becomes a lot more structured, and rather than doing just financial modeling and thinking that I will get into investment banking. So use these 3 steps and get yourself into investment banking. If you think that this video was valuable, then do consider to like and subscribe to Encoding Careers, and let us know your recommendation in the comments on what are some of the next videos that you want from us, and we'll create for you as soon as possible. So that is it for this video. Until then, this is Karan Damania taking your leave.